everybody, it's Sharon here. Welcome back to my channel for those who are returning, and welcome to any new subscribers that may be visiting for the first time. I have some ideas for future projects, and one of the videos I posted recently, creating my faux envelope, I had an inquiry from Diane about the stencil I used and whether I'd made it myself. Now I actually had, and I'd used a design from noir.art15. I hope I got it right this time. And they're amazing mandalas, and they gave me permission to use their mandalas in my crafting, which I'm ever so grateful for. And in line with that, and also some videos I've been watching recently, I have decided to have a little play with making some stencils for myself. So Diane was, or seemed interested in some ideas, so I thought I would share some ideas that I've had. So I have here just a visual art diary. I picked it up from my local Kmart. They're not very expensive. I think, at a guess, they're only about $5, give or take. And I do love the paper inside them because it's not as thin as a copy of paper, but it's not as thick as a cardboard. So, and I've just got my little Fiskars guillotine or paper trimmer here, and I had some sheets sitting inside that I have pulled out, but I don't know what I had planned for them. I don't know if I had anything planned for them. So when I opened it up and they were sitting there, I went, oh, I can use those. So I do like to keep the little perforated strip at the end because I find it really handy to use in my collage work. I tea stain them. So I'm just going to trim those. I'm making this about 7 inches wide. No particular, actually I might make it, oh, how wide do I want to make it? Maybe 8. We'll go 8. Don't know if I think I've got too many sheets here. Let me do this. Oh, so the other thing, before I go any further, I was going to time this, so I'm hoping to make a couple of stencils in about 30 minutes. I'd like this video to be, so I'll take it back to 25 minutes because I've been chatting. Sorry, the timer is on my right. And I may do a couple of videos. I have quite a few ideas, so we'll see how we go. But I could have also trimmed this paper off camera, and that would have made the process that much quicker, but you know. So I'm making these stencils just trying to use what I have. So the first one I want to do, I am literally going to, and as per me and my crazy mixed up ideas, I haven't organized anything before I've sat down, and yes, I am piercing holes in my paper very randomly. I had ideas and I just went, I need to turn the camera on and start. So I'm just punching holes, and I'm going to take my scissors and I'm just going to, oops, create little lines, and you'll see why in a moment. Okay, I'm not being precise, as you can tell. I'm not being particular. I just am making marks on my paper. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just tear. Now you could tear any sort of shape. You could aim for like a perfect circle. I don't want perfection, as you can tell. I just want almost like splotch marks is what I'm thinking. So super simple idea. Like I said, I'm just trying to use what I have and give people ideas of what they can create with what they have. And I will be making some different types of stencils, so I kind of have a couple of ideas of different things I can use. Some I've used already and some I'm trying for the first time. I have actually used paper before. I haven't used this paper, but one of my very future videos, which I'm excited to do, I wanted some different stencils to use along this line, so I decided I'd take you with me. I was going to create them anyway, and it was kind of ironic that Diane inquired. Sorry, I'm just checking my time. That Diane inquired when she did, because this was something that I had in mind to do. Like I said, I was planning on making my own stencils behind the scenes, but when the inquiry came, I decided that maybe others might like to see too. So this could be as interesting as watching paint dry for you. I'm sorry if you're not enjoying it, but... And you can make these as big or as small as you'd like. They're kind of fun, actually. And the other thing I was thinking too is that if you make your own stencils using this technique, or some of the techniques that I'm going to, or ideas that I'm going to show you, you could make several and they would all be different. None of them would be the same. I mean, obviously if you're tearing paper, it's never going to tear the same way. And you could have one that's torn quite large, one that's torn smaller. Be like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. You could have a big bear and a medium bear and a baby bear. Except they would be, I was going to say circles, but they're not really circles, are they? You know what I mean. Actually, just now they're kind of reminding me of like the spots on a cow or something like that. I feel like I'm all thumbs right now. I don't know how it's showing in video, but I'm not meaning to be. I know I've put the timer on. It's kind of freaking me out. Okay. They're kind of fun little, I may even keep those. Gosh, I don't throw anything out these days. No wonder I have storage issues. Okay, do I want any more? I'm thinking maybe one here. And the reason I'm cutting, poking and cutting, is just to get me started. So you can start yours off however you'd like. I could totally stop now, but I'm kind of seeing some negative space on my page and I'm going, I want it to be kind of spread across my page. And maybe one here. And I think that should do me. And depending what you want to use your stencil for will determine how big or small you'd like your shapes to be when you tear them out. If you're working on something small, you may want smaller shapes on your stencil. So that's one. And I'm not going to use them in this video because, I don't have a lot of time left. I just looked. But there will be a video. I've lost my words again. There will be a video coming up in the very near future where I use these. So, okay, so my next idea, I'm kind of, again, just piercing the paper to get me started. And as you can see, they're kind of in line. It's not an exact science, but... And this time I'm going to cut, actually, I should have removed my paper before I started my video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just cut... each one. I'm just using a Stanley knife. You could use a craft knife, whatever you have. Just be very careful. Always safety first. And I'm just, this is just to get me started, and you'll see why in a moment. And I could cut these with the Stanley knife, but I don't want to. I did say in a video just recently that I really like tearing at the moment. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, here we go. And I'm going to use my little pokey tool. You could use an awl for this if you have an awl. And not really sure how this is going to work. My plan wasn't to tear with this, but I'm having trouble getting the paper to, I don't think it's going to lift the way I want it to. Actually, how about we just do this? Okay, it's not quite working how I had in mind. So what I might do is I might, how big do I want them? I might just cut the tops of them. So I'm kind of thinking rectangles or squares, something along those lines. I have noticed more and more with my videos, you kind of are getting the experimental, unedited version of what I do, and not the, let's trial this first and see how it goes and then share with everybody. So never mind. Okay. I just had a thought. I was like, this one might take me a little longer than I anticipated because it's not tearing the way I had hoped. So I was like, do I keep going with this one or do I just give you the idea? But I'll keep going. If I have to do a couple of different videos in this, with this in mind, I'll turn it into a series. And that way you can watch or not watch, whatever you like. But my best advice is to have a look around your craft space as well and see what you have that might be useful for creating patterns or shapes, or I said just recently I love patterns and I love shapes and I love lines. So that's kind of what sparked this idea. I'm not going for fancy over the top patterns or concepts. I just want simple but effective. Okay, so I may fast forward through this just for time's sake. So I'm pretty happy with those. I was thinking while I was doing the tearing, I could have used a white card, and I did actually consider using a white card to make this stencil because I figured it would be more durable, but white card is more costly, and I can create a new one of those. If this one gets worn, it won't be exactly the same, but does that matter? No, I don't think so. So I decided to go with this slightly heavier paper, and I'm trying to tear that. Can you see me shaking? And it's just not tearing. I decided to use this slightly heavier paper as opposed to card because it's way more cost effective, and it doesn't matter if it has a shelf life. I use it and I have to make another one. So that's stencil number 2. So we have our splotches and our rectangles. And my timer says we have 5 minutes, but with the power of technology, I'm going to fast forward the creation of the last stencil, which will give us time to create one more. Now I'm going to use my plastic ruler for this one, and I'm going to draw myself a border. So I'm using the line in the middle of my ruler. Well, it's better if I don't put my hand under it. And lining that up with the outside of my paper. And I'm just creating a border all the way around because I don't want to get too close to the edge. Okay, so I'm working within that border, and I want to give myself a center point. So I've got my little Distress Ink mini here. I'm just going to draw around that. Okay, so I've said I like shapes and I like lines. We're going to work with lines now. So I am just going to, using my ruler, draw myself some lines, and I'm kind of making them, whoops, probably not that much, making them wider at the end than in the middle, kind of like a starburst. So I'm fanning my ruler out a little bit. They're not going to be the same, they're not going to be, oops, and that's not where I wanted it because I wasn't looking. So I'm just going to use my eraser. Sorry if I'm shaking the camera, and I am, I know, sorry. I didn't want it that close to this line. I kind of want a space in between each one. So I need to stop focusing on talking to you guys and focus on what I'm doing. So these lines can be as close or as far apart as you want them, but I do want a little bit of a gap between the lines closest to the square in the center, because I feel like that will give it some extra stability. So just drawing all the way around. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to cut these out. So you may decide to skip this part. And just cut instead of drawing the lines first, which is totally up to you. I am using a HB pencil, and it is very soft and it's not overly sharp, so my lines aren't as neat as they could be. So depending on what you use, depends on how they come out. So I'm pretty happy with that. It's not exactly even, and I'm liking that. And oh, there's my timer, guys. So I am going to use my little Stanley knife. You could use your craft knife. I don't actually know where mine is at the moment, my little craft knife. It might actually be easier, but I'm using the line that I've drawn and my ruler as a guide, and I'm just going to go around, and I'm going to, I think I need to get my craft knife because I feel like that could be a little bit, oh here it is, a little bit too big. Okay, and it doesn't have to be perfect, as in perfectly straight. Okay, so this one will take a little bit longer. I will keep videoing. I will try and time lapse it for you, but this will give you the general idea. So I'll see you at the other end. I'll be back. So as you could see, I wasn't overly careful and I did tear this one. I don't know whether I'll try and tape it down a little bit. I've decided I quite like this design, so I might make this a more permanent stencil in my next video. I'll show you how I do that. But it really didn't take me that long to create 3 stencils that, oh, where did I put the others? 3 stencils that I can use in my creating. And as I said, I do have a mess here, I'm sorry. When I was going to say when I pop back, but I'm thinking my next video may be making more stencils because I still have a lot of ideas in mind. So, but keep watching because in one of my future videos, very, very soon now, we'll be using some of these stencils that we create together and having some fun. We just want to play. I want to play. So, anyway, I hope this helps somebody in some small way. It's going to be great for me in my craft space. And as I said, these 2 in particular are very quick and easy to make. So I can make variations, all kinds of variations on those ideas and have lots of different but varied stencils using the same concept. So I hope you've enjoyed this craft with me and I look forward to seeing you all soon, everybody. Happy crafting and bye for now.